Indigenous resurgence is a movement, an intellectual movement and a political, social movement to address the fundamental harm that's been done to Indigenous peoples because of the dispossession of our lands. When we look at Indigenous resurgence, we're really looking at an agenda not only to advance Indigenous people, but it's really to bring some honesty, some authenticity to the relationship between Indigenous people and the other people in this country, to finally settle the colonial problem so that we can move on in the way that it was envisioned by both of our ancestral forefathers, which was in a nation-to-nation relationship, cooperating and sharing the land. One, reclaim. Two, rename. Three, reoccupy. Reclaim means reclaim your languages, reclaim your traditions, reclaim your cultural practices, reclaim your sacred spaces, reclaim that connection that your ancestors had to the land. Rename comes from the idea that the fundamental thing about colonialism in this country has been the erasure of Native people from the landscape, physically, but also through the stories that people tell about the history of this land in Quebec and elsewhere. The Reoccupy, I think people will be more familiar with, because it's something I think that when people think about Native politics, that's what they think about, is Native people occupying lands, defending lands, and most of the newsworthy attention that comes to Native people is all about Native people refusing to move when either industry or settlement or governments are trying to remove them from the last little bits of land that we still have. You can go across the country and you can find wherever there's a group of activist faculty members or activist students who have a really strong relationship with local communities, local First Nations communities, they've built things. They've built either land-based education models, they've built community university relationships where they bring Indigenous knowledge into the university and vice versa. There's examples of this all over, but they're kind of hit and miss. Universities can play a crucial role in restoring the health of Indigenous peoples and in creating a new social environment in Canada by paying serious attention to the younger generation of Indigenous students, Indigenous faculty members who understand that true decolonization can only happen when Indigenous peoples have the ability to have a strong relationship with their spiritual connection to the land, to their sacred spaces, and the right and the ability to use and occupy the territories which are the homelands of their nations. We have about 35 Indigenous faculty members. We have a large number of Indigenous students. We have a house, a facility, a standalone First Peoples house. We have a number of discrete programs from the graduate level down to the undergraduate level. We have an extensive support system. We have a number of programs in the education faculty, in the faculty of human social development, that have direct relationships with communities where there is land-based education and community-based education happening, and where Native elders and so forth are brought in, and where non-Native students who come through these programs are sensitized and educated in a way that respects the principles that I'm talking about here. It doesn't take a lot of money, because it's a matter of shifting priorities, shifting perspectives, and being open to doing things in a new way. And the one bit of money that it does take is in hiring leadership. Not hiring junior Native faculty from different parts of the country who have no idea about the local First Nations and who are going to take a long time to build up relationships, but hiring people who have connections and seniority and credibility and clout in their own sphere, and using that in order to build a better relationship with the local First Nations. And to me, that's crucial. That's what the University of Victoria has been really good at, in hiring senior Native faculty members. And that's what distinguishes our university, I think, from most others. Concordia should be the kind of place that is open to a rethinking of what education is when it comes to Indigenous issues. It could position itself as the decolonizing institution where students who come to study Indigenous issues actually learn from Indigenous people. It's about reconfiguring both in terms of disciplinary boundaries, bureaucratic rules, what is a credit, who can teach, who gets certified and admitted to the graduate faculty, all of these kind of things which we've confronted at the University of Victoria, which I've confronted at the University of Victoria in trying to build the program that we have and develop this agenda here. Concordia can do that because I think it's more open